The US election is just days away. VP Kamala Harris and former President Trump are running a competitive race to the polls, and we could be in for a repeat of the contest between Al Gore and George Bush. So, what happened in 2000, and could history repeat itself 24 years later? The 2000 presidential election was contested by the Democratic Vice President Al Gore and the Republican Texas Governor George W. Bush. Voting was held on Tuesday, November 7. Everyone knew this was going to be a tight race, but no one could have predicted what went down. When the polls closed, 3 states were too close to call, but ultimately it all turned on Florida, and that is when the drama began. At around 8 p.m. on election night, the American news outlets called Florida for Gore. But the Democrats' celebrations were short-lived. At 10:30 p.m., the news outlets retracted their prediction, labeling the state too close to call once again. At 2:30 a.m., the news outlets called Florida for Bush, which would make him president. Gore even apparently called Bush to concede the election. But 2 hours later, the news outlets flipped once again and retracted their calls. The outcome of the election now hung in the balance. At 4:30 a.m., all the votes had been counted, and Bush appeared to have won by little more than 2,000 votes. But that was not the end of the matter. Under Florida law, such a small margin of victory meant that all the votes had to be counted again by machine. When that process was complete and all the overseas votes were counted, Bush seemed to have won the state by just over 900 votes. 900 votes! This is when the courts became involved. Gore demanded that the votes in certain counties be recounted by hand. Bush sued to stop this. Finally, on December 12th, more than a month after the election, the Supreme Court issued an opinion in which the 5 conservative members ordered that the recount must stop, thereby gifting the election to Bush. Al Gore won the popular vote by 48.4%, with Bush at 47.9%. Sound familiar? Hillary Clinton also won the popular vote but lost the presidency to Donald Trump in 2016. So, if a president is not decided by how many individual votes they get, how does it work? Contrary to popular belief, the US president is not elected by a direct vote of the people. The president is elected by an electoral college made up of 538 people. It is the electoral college members who cast votes on who should be president. Each state has a certain number of electoral college members based roughly on the state's population. For example, New York has 28 members, California 54, and Florida has 30. To win the presidency, a candidate must obtain 270 votes. For the most part, each state's electoral college member must vote for the candidate who won the popular vote in that state. So, for instance, in 2000, George W. Bush won Florida by around 900 votes, yet he was awarded all 30 of the Florida votes. So, as November 5 creeps closer, we know from recent polling that it's going to be close, very close. Perhaps too close to call that night or even the next day. So, all eyes are going to be on the 7 swing states: Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. Regardless of the outcome, this will be one monumental election. The US will nominate a woman leader or a convicted felon for the very first time. Regardless of the outcome, history is about to be made.